was still in there, and at the end of the day, the work was done before this tournament. So it's not, not everything is on the line here. So, but I'm still super motivated and really want to win.
World number 29 to world number 45 inches, just 7 days. Not because she was injured, not because she withdrew from a tournament, not because she was knocked out in the first round by an unknown qualifier. She defeated Laura Siegemund. She defeated Magda Linette, the same player who had just snapped Iga Swiatek's 7-4 match opening round winning streak. She secured 2 victories at a WTA 1000 event against seasoned top 6-0 competitors. And the WTA ranking system evaluated all of that, reviewed those 2 wins, considered a round of 1-6 finish at the Sunshine Double, recognized a player who has beaten 5 top 1-0 opponents in the past 12 months, and still dropped her 16 positions. 16 spots, the largest single-week ranking fall of any player across the entire WTA Tour. Not the player who exited in the first round, not the player who pulled out due to injury. Alex Eala experienced the biggest drop, the harshest penalty for reaching the round of 16, and the fans, all 115 million of them, are absolutely furious. Let's break down exactly what happened, why it happened, and why the WTA's own ranking system is the most counterproductive structure in professional sports for players who achieve something extraordinary before the algorithm has time to adjust.
Well, I think that has to be the highlight of my career so far. Like you said, that's what put me on the map, but it just, everything clicked after that. And I look back at that moment and I just think, wow, like it was insane. And it's crazy to believe that
At that moment, she is describing that unbelievable, jaw-dropping, historic moment at Miami 2025, where a wildcard ranked 140th defeated Jelena Ostapenko, then Madison Keys, then Iga Swiatek back-to-back-to-back, and advanced to the first WTA 1000 semifinal in Philippine history, earning 390 ranking points. Those 390 points propelled her from 140th in the world into the top 100 almost instantly. Points that have served as the foundation of her ranking ever since. And the WTA simply erased them, every single one, in just 1 week. Here is exactly how it works. And pay close attention because this is where it becomes truly frustrating. The WTA rankings follow a 5-2-week rolling system, meaning players lose the points they earned from the same tournament the previous year once that event begins again. The moment the 2026 Miami Open started, the moment the draw was announced and the first ball was played, those 390 points from her 2025 semifinal disappeared from her total, completely wiped out, replaced only by whatever she could earn this year. She had already taken a hit at the very start of the tournament, dropping to number 50 inches, the unofficial live rankings as the points from her breakthrough run the previous year expired. She had not even played a match yet. She had not stepped onto the court. She was still in the locker room preparing to face Laura Siegemund, and the WTA ranking system had already quietly pushed her down 21 spots before she served a single point, before she won or lost a single game. Let's make that absolutely clear. Alex Eala arrived at the Miami Open as world number 29. She reached the round of 16. She defeated 2 opponents. She competed at a high professional level. And she left as world number 45. The biggest ranking drop of any player in the entire WTA weekly update. The largest fall of any player on the whole tour. Now, here is the part that should make every single person watching this genuinely upset. Because it is not just unfair to Alex Eala. It is a structural flaw that the WTA has built into its own system, one that punishes breakthrough players more harshly than anyone else. Think about what the 5-2-week system actually means in reality. It means that the better you perform during your breakout year, the more extraordinary your results, the more historic your run, the more points you gain from a single remarkable tournament, the harsher the penalty when the calendar comes back around 12 months later. Eala needed to earn 390 ranking points just to stay even, just to maintain her position from the previous year, just to avoid dropping a single spot. She needed to reach the same round, the semi-final, at the same tournament against a tougher field as a now recognized player, with every opponent having spent 12 months analyzing her game. She needed to recreate the greatest week of her career, the week she described as insane, as unbelievable, just to avoid being penalized, just to break even. And when she reached the round of 16 instead of the semi-final, the system did not recognize her improvement. It did not acknowledge her victories. It did not consider that reaching the round of 16 at a WTA 1000 event is an outstanding result for a 2-0 year, old in only her second season at this level. It simply looked at the numbers, saw 120 points instead of 390, and deducted 270 from her total. Eala's total ranking points dropped from 1,525 to 1,255, allowing multiple players to move ahead of her without winning a single additional match. Players who did nothing new, who did not achieve anything further, who simply stayed at their current rankings while the system subtracted Alex Eala's historic points from her total and redistributed those positions back to the field. She did not lose to them. She was not outperformed by them. The calendar advanced, the algorithm executed, and 16 players who cannot fill a stadium, who do not sell out matches before tickets are even released, who have not defeated 5 top 1-0 players in the last 12 months, all moved ahead of her because a computer removed the points from the greatest week of her professional career. That is how the WTA ranking system operates. I can confirm Miami is still the best. I will always have a special place in my heart for this tournament. First, Sunshine Double done. She posted this after her 6-0, 6-2 loss to Karolina Muchova. After the ranking collapse, after the algorithm stripped her of 16 positions, she still posted about the Sunshine Double. She still called Miami the best. She showed gratitude for the very tournament that just cost her everything the ranking system claimed she was worth, because she understands something the WTA ranking system does not. She understands that a number on a screen does not define what she has built. It does not reflect the fact that at the 2026 Miami Open, she played on center court as a seeded player, someone who arrived just a year earlier as a wild card and was considered unknown. It does not measure the sold-out crowds, the fans who flew from Manila to Miami, the Filipino flags across every corner of Hard Rock Stadium, the lines wrapping around the venue before gates even opened, or the 280,000 views on her highlight reel within just 3 hours of being posted. None of that is included in ranking points. None of it. The WTA's 5-2-week rolling system has only one input: tournament results. Everything else, the cultural influence, the market expansion, the 48% surge in ticket sales in Dubai, the organizational changes driven by the momentum Eala represents, counts for 0 points. It is simply not included.
Doesn't matter if I win the tournament in Miami or if I lose first round, I know I'm here and I'm here to stay. Yeah.
She said that before the tournament even began. She said it fully aware of what was coming. She knew the 390 points were about to disappear. She knew her ranking was going to drop regardless of her performance. She said, "Run it back anyway." And she went out and defeated Laura Siegemund in 3 hours and 20 minutes, then beat Magda Linette in straight sets and battled Karolina Muchova, the Qatar Open champion, world number 14, one of the most dangerous players on the WTA Tour when fully healthy, until the match eventually slipped away. The critics want to make the Muchova scoreline the story. They want 6-0, 6-2 to be the headline. Here is what the real headline is. Alex Eala completed the Sunshine Double, competing in both Indian Wells and Miami in the same season. She reached the round of 16 at both WTA 1000 events in back-to-back weeks. In only her second season as a full WTA Tour player, ranked 45th in the world at just 20 years old. That is the headline. Not the ranking drop, not the scoreline against Muchova. A 2-0 year old completing the Sunshine Double. The same double that players spend entire careers trying to survive, and finishing with consecutive round of 1-6 results at the 2 biggest tournaments outside of the Grand Slams. But the ranking system does not recognize it that way, and the fans are absolutely justified in being frustrated about it. Now, let's talk about what comes next, because this is where the narrative shifts from frustrating to electrifying. From a story about what the WTA took to a story about what Eala is about to reclaim. Eala's path back into the top 30 is mathematically straightforward. A semi-final finish at the Linz Open in Austria, the WTA 500 event she enters from April 6th to 12th, would give her 195 additional ranking points, pushing her total to 1,450. The current world number 30, Cristina Buxa of Spain, has 1,446 points, just 4 points. Buxa holds the 30th spot by only 4 points more than Eala would have after a Linz semifinal. 4 point. Eala needs only a semifinal at her opening clay event, a tournament where she has 0 points to defend because she did not play it last year, and she is back inside the top 30. And it gets even better from there. A Linz final would give Eala 325 additional points, bringing her to a total of 1,580, which would push her to a new career high of world number 26. A Linz title would give her 500 points, bringing her total to 1,755 and a new career best ranking of world number 23. World number 23, from 45 inches just 1 week on clay. A surface she has openly admitted she still has significant room to improve on. 0 points to defend, a fresh draw, and opponents who have never had to prepare a specific game plan for her on clay. No history, no detailed scouting, no precedent. I'm really excited for the clay court swing. I think that's one surface where I definitely have a lot of room for improvement, so I'd love to see how it plays out this year. Room for growth on a surface that naturally favors left-handed players with heavy topspin from the baseline. On a surface that slows the ball and reduces the effectiveness of power serving, the exact weakness that Brad Gilbert identified as her most important area for development. On a surface where a wide lefty serve creates angles that clay court players are not used to handling from a Filipino opponent. On a surface where no Eala-specific clay court strategy exists yet because there is no real footage to study. After Linz, she moves directly to Stuttgart, the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix, a WTA 500 event that serves as the premier clay court lead-up to Madrid. Then comes Madrid itself, the Mutua Madrid Open, a WTA 1000 event featuring Aryna Sabalenka, Coco Gauff, Amanda Anisimova, and the full depth of the WTA elite. Stuttgart, Madrid, then Rome, then Roland Garros. 5 weeks, 5 tournaments, all on clay. All with 0 points to defend because she did not compete in any of these events last year at this level. Every point she earns from this stage forward on clay is brand new. Pure gain. No deductions. No 5-2. Weak rollover penalty. Just points building on a clean slate. That is why her rivals are nervous. That is why fans who are angry at the WTA ranking system need to hold on to that energy and redirect it, because the rankings will correct themselves. They always do for players of this level. And a player with 0 points to defend across an entire 5-week stretch is not declining. She is building momentum. Thank you, fellow Filipinos. Thank you, Team Puyat. The fight continues, and I'll see you again in Europe. She is already calling in the crowd, already picturing Filipino flags in Linz, in Stuttgart, in Madrid, in Rome, in Paris, already imagining what it looks like when Team Puyat, the wave of fans who stayed up past midnight for every match, who bought expensive plane tickets, who wore the flag and chanted her name deep into the California night, shows up on European clay courts for the first time. Because they will. They always do. They showed up in Dubai, they showed up in Indian Wells, they showed up in Miami. They packed Court 6 at the Australian Open until staff had to turn people away at the gates. They are not a fair-weather crowd. They are not a passing trend that disappears when results become difficult. They are 115 million people who have waited their entire lives for a champion, and they follow her everywhere. After a great win, I'm not as good as people say. After a tough loss, I'm not as bad as people say. I just have to stay objective. The fans are furious with the WTA system, and they have every right to be. The 5-2, weak rolling structure punishes breakthrough players at the exact moment they should be celebrated. It took Alex Eala's most remarkable week, turned it into a liability, and erased it from her total the moment the calendar hit 12 months. But here is the reality that Eala already understands, and that the rankings will eventually reflect. World number 45 is not her true level. It is just a snapshot, a temporary result of a system that subtracts as quickly as it adds. It is the cost of being exceptional in year 1 and having to pay for it in year 2. The clay season begins in 6 days, 0 points to defend, 5 tournaments confirmed, a surface she is excited to improve on, a fan base that follows her across continents, a 2-0 year. Old athlete who was practicing in the rain in Miami while the world number 1 stayed indoors. The WTA ranking system took 16 spots from Alex Eala this week. She is about to spend the next 5 weeks taking them all back, one by one. Linz, Stuttgart, Europe is waiting. If this WTA ranking situation fired you up, if you are backing Eala from number 45, back into the top 30 and beyond, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Linz begins April 6th, and a player with 0 points to defend and everything to prove is the most dangerous competitor on the entire tour.